Hey there, welcome to Synth Seeker. My name is Luke. Today, we're doing another one synth video. We're doing it on my favorite synth of all time. It's the oldest synth in my collection as far as how long I've had it. This is a Nord Lead A1R, which these are actually not produced anymore. The Nord Lead A1 keyboard is still available, but the racks are not. And I used to have two of them, and I sold one of them for a song to a friend, and I regret it to this day. But they really they love it, so that's fine. It's fine, it's fine. Anyway, so what I want to do today is, this is another one synth video. I'm going through all the synths in my collection one at a time and using them and only that synth for the most part to make Berlin School-like or proggy, film music-y, my Luke music sort of oriented little clip. And just to demonstrate what the synth can do. It's not a review, it's just me playing and sharing some of the timbres that the synths can make. And I'm doing more or less the same thing each time stylistically. And so, you know, if you want to, you can compare and contrast the different synths as we go. And I like having a little record of it myself. So, and really that's about it. We're using Ableton. If the synth doesn't have effects, I'll use the effects in Ableton. Or I'll use the effects in Ableton if I'm going to be looping it. Since I'm going to be printing these as little loops, I may disable the onboard effects. Although the onboard effects on the Nord Lead A1R are excellent. They are very, very good. The further, how do you say this? The more modern the Nord synth, the better the effects. So like the reverbs on this are very good, not great, but they're very good. But on the newer Nord synths like the Stage 4 and the Wave 2, the reverbs are chef's kiss, really good. But I'll show you what this sounds like. It's basically an insert effect, a delay, and then the reverb. And what really makes this my favorite synth is that it's 4-part multi-timbral, and it actually has 4 discrete mono, not stereo, but 4 discrete outs in the back. Although I'm just running it in stereo today. So let's do this. Let's start with a basic sawtooth. And I'm just going to describe, again, not a review, but you need to understand how this synth works. Nords are opinionated, okay? What's his name? I can't remember the owner of Nord's name, but he has a hand in designing, at least designing the Nord Lead A1. And he's like, I like synths that are really fast to program, and I want them to be kind of opinionated and say, here's the selection of what's available to you. An example of this would be the delay. The delay feedback, like how much feedback the delay has, there's only 4 options. It's gotten 0, well, so 5 if you include off. So you could leave the delay off, but as soon as you turn it on, there's only 4 feedback levels. There's feedback level 0, which means you get 1 repeat, just always 1. And then levels 1, 2, and 3 are just progressively a bit more. And 3 is, well, here, let's demonstrate. So if we turn on the delay, so there's 0 delay. Let's turn it to 50%-ish wet. All right, let's set the delay feedback to 0 delay feedback. 1 delay. That's it. The next level is, right, fades relatively quickly. Here's the next level. Level 2, see it's goes a bit longer. And then level 3. It's got a really long tail on it. And those are your options. You can't dial it in, you can't specify in milliseconds or anything like that. It's literally those 4 options. None, 1 echo, a bit more, and a whole lot. Right? And you may not like that. I find it, in the heat of the moment, in making the sounds, that's sufficient. One of those settings will be right for the mix I'm working in. Right? So anyway, that's an example. Nord synths are opinionated. They give you fewer options than you may be used to, but they cherry pick what they think are the best options to give you. And the result is, at least in my opinion, is a synth that's very powerful, very broadly powerful. but not special. Like there are it's a good workhorse. It covers, 80, 90% of the sounds you're going to want to do, but it doesn't do weird stuff, right? So if you want a synth that's got a really wackadoo filter or, some form of oscillator sound generation that's, way out there, it's not going to do that. It's got lots of options. Let's talk about the oscillator, right? So there's only one oscillator in this thing, right? We're playing the saw wave. Sorry, I was turning the delay off. We'll give it a little reverb though. You know what? We'll leave a little delay on it too. Oh, hang on, my father's calling. And that was my father. All right, so let's go back. So let's talk about the oscillator here. Here, let's design a sound, shall we? So it's got a bunch of waves you can go through, all the basics. Right, triangle, sine, triangle, saw, square. And then it's got what it's calling analog waves, right? And everything's actually printed on the panel. So here are the analog waves. So this is a square wave that's a little thinner than pure. Right, if we keep going down this list, I know you can't really see it in the camera, but. So they give you a bunch of curated waveforms that they feel are useful. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we do analog stuff, then we do fixed pulse stuff, and then it's got organ tones, bell tones, digital, electric, formants, stuff like that. And so those are sort of the basic waveforms. And then down here, they've got what they call oscillator config. And the os configs are, what do you want to do with them, right? Because it's a single oscillator, but in different config modes, it acts as though it's more than one oscillator. So, for example, in pitch mode, here, let's put it on a basic sawtooth. So, all right, in pitch mode, as we start to, you set the mode, and then there's like literally one knob, os control, and you can use that to vary something algorithmically with this oscillator config. And the oscillator config combined with the shape of the waveform, when you move the os control, it does something interesting. So. So this is basically for tuning, is this config mode. So it's got a little bit of detune. Right, and then starts detuning in semitones. All right, up to 60. So you can put stuff way up there. So you can, make an oscillator that's got that high crystalline sparkly thing and then layer that on something else. I'll get the layering in a minute. But that's like this pitch mode. And I'm not going to go through all the modes, but there's also shape mode. So here we are on sawtooth in shape mode, turning the os config. Right, I don't have a oscilloscope hooked up to this, but right, it's bending that waveform. And this knob can be assigned to the LFO or to the modulation envelope, right? So if I set the modulation envelope to like a pluck here, and then I apply it, so you can hear it, here we'll make it be slow attack and slow decay. Here, going up, and then it's going to come back down again. Let me slow this, I'm going to speed it up a little bit. You hear it affecting the that attack, right? Or we bring in the LFO. Speed the LFO up. Right? Not a great sound because I'm just demonstrating with extremes, right? But you know, there's an option for everybody's favorite, the sync sound. Right, so we'll set the mod envelope to do a sync kind of attack. Right. Something off the Cars album in the 80s. So that's what your options are with the oscillator. You've got different configs and different waveforms, and then you've got a single parameter that you can modulate with the envelope or an LFO. Very simple. Easy to wrap your head around. Where it gets interesting, I mean, that is limiting as well. But it's interesting about it is that you've got 4 layers to do this with. So you've really got 4 oscillators that you can layer on top of each other. And each of those layers has their own filter, their own amp, VCA, their own effects, delay, and reverb. So at the end of the day, what you end up making with this thing can be pretty impressive. Let's slow this down. So let's say I wanted to layer this with another oscillator playing something lower. I happen to have one over here already configured. Right, so this is also a single oscillator. This is a saw in detune mode. And I can just layer these together. Let me bring this one down an octave. That's how you do this. You basically layer things together. So if I layer in. That's why I love this synth. It's just so easy to build whatever you want to build. And, you know, the effects are nice. Let me bring in some chorus here. All right, so let's get to making some, let's make a sketch here, okay? So what I'll do is, because I have so many sounds already built on this synth, I'm not gonna build from scratch today. I did the one. What I'm gonna do is I'm just going to lay some stuff down using the sounds I've already got. Like I've got a nice bass, I've got a little pluck. The beauty of this is we don't actually have to print because it's 4-part multi-timbral. We could just use 4 MIDI tracks and drive the 4 parts individually, right? Channels 1, 2, 3, 4, for example. But I don't know, do I want to do that? Nah, I'll print them today. Let's put a bass line down. Let's do this. Let's get my metronome running. You're going to hear the metronome for this first bit. All right, let's record something like that. All right, let's see how that sounds. Let's clean up my mess here, timing-wise. I think that's right. All right, let's kill the metronome. Put a little rhythm track in here. print that. We'll bounce it over. I could totally go in as usual. I could go in and, you know, tweak filters and things like that. All right, so we've got that printed. All right, good. Now let's go back. Let's enable one of the plucks, for example. I am going to actually, I'm going to swap over to FX Sends in Ableton. Here's what this sounds like with no delay and reverb on it. And here it is with the delay and effects from with Ableton going here, reverb and delay. And let's see, I think I want that to be dotted eighths instead of quarter notes. And the reason I'm doing using the Sends in Ableton instead of the inline effects are fine. It's doing it because I'm printing. And if I print, I'll print these effects to it and we'll lose tails if we do that. So I'm just going to do it here. All right, so let's do this. What do I want to play here? All right. All right, let's print that. Cool. All right, so that should be okay. All right, so let's put a lead on it now. There we go. So super fast video because I used canned, some of the presets I had already made, but demonstrated the one. This is absolutely my favorite synth of all time, only because I know it like the back of my hand. It's super fast to program, super simple to hold in your head. Once you understand how one layer works and the opinionated ideas behind it, you could just multiply that by 4 and get super thick, super like interesting stuff. There is a specific arpeggiator. Actually, I'll demonstrate the arpeggiator real quick. The ARP, there's a unique ARP for every layer. Like each layer is an entire synth in itself. ARP, its own filters. Now you can group them together so that if you make a multi-layer piece, you can group the controls. So when you turn the filter knob, it turns it across all the layers or just some of the layers, as appropriate. Let's see here. Let me turn this into a pluck really fast. Let's do this. A little too much reverb. Let's bring this up an octave. Let's use a different waveform. And not a sync, we'll use a shape. Something I'll like arpeggiating. Oh, you know what? Let me turn off. I've got the Ableton effects on. There, we'll turn those off. There we go. So this is entirely in the synth now. Let's do this. Turn on the ARP. We'll give it a rate, and we'll give it a range of 1 octave, and we'll say go. We'll go down. And we will sync. We'll sync the rate to the master clock, and we'll tell it to play 16th notes. You like the what is it, Predator-esque readout. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm going to tell the delay to follow the master clock. Now when I dial in the delay, I can say do dotted eighths. Let's bring the tempo down a bit. We'll play, there we go, 8th note ARP with dotted eighth delay. So there's an ARP for that layer, right? So let's also flip over to this layer, my bass layer, and we'll turn its ARP on. We'll set it to quarter notes, and we'll layer these together. So you can just layer these together. So you can actually have 4 different ARP patterns in with 4 different timbres at 4 different rates, right? With 4 different tempos even, because you don't have to sync to master clock, all playing as one patch. It's really fantastic. Anyway, so that's a Nord wave, Nord wave, Nord lead A1R. Again, you can't get the rack units except used. But the keyboards are still out there, and I don't remember how much they're going for now. Nord stuff's not cheap, but it's well built. This is all steel, the entire enclosure. I've owned this thing for 12 years, 15 years, long time, and it's never given me trouble. I was having trouble with some of the buttons in that I would hit it and it would sort of double, And read online, it said just suck it up, suck the dust out with a vacuum. And if that doesn't fix it, go in and hit it with some deoxit. I just actually used some spray air, and it works. Now they're fine. So anyway, this is the Nord Lead A1. You are watching Synth Seeker. Thank you very much. This has been a 1 synth video. I'll talk to you later. See ya.